tongue is numb, the Keurig's clean. Your dog is dead, it's a Ponzi Scream. Ponzi Scream, Ponzi Scream, because it's just something to do.
You know what I love? Stories about fathers and sons.
I think it's really important, actually, that we bring together the father and son dynamic because a lot of it has been really lost over the past 50 years or so.
One thing that you need to know about Ponzi Scream is that we love family.
Yeah, I'm as everyone knows, I am part of the family
as the son of a father.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Family first. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Today we've got a heartwarming story about a family, about more specifically a father and a son.
Yes.
This one, my friends, comes from the New York Times, and it's entitled, "With One Crime, an Ex-Congressman Damaged Two Families."
Oh, man.
Two families, one crime.
So this comes from January 24th, 2020. Cameron Collins stood in the same courtroom that his father had 6 days earlier, following his father's example, even to a ruinous end.
Oh, no. What are you... how could you, Cameron?
Cameron Collins and his father, Chris.
Yeah.
Both security guards. This is their story.
Yeah.
His father, Chris Collins, a former Republican congressman from New York, had risen to prominence after becoming the first member of Congress. Oh, wow, and this is really important. He was the first member of Congress to back Donald J. Trump's bid for president.
So this was a guy who was like, okay, this Google thing, I'm getting on board in 1996, before their IPO or whatever.
He was like, Donald Trump has sons. I have a son. I'm in with this. I fuck with the vision.
Early family values adopter of Donald Trump. Well, he is from New York, and Donald's from New York as well. So it's a hometown boy done right.
It's really not that surprising. I mean, yes, this Collins guy, I believe his district is they said it was split between Rochester and Buffalo. Oh, so it's like this is like a Western New York situation, not anywhere near New York City. But like, yeah, dude, that's the funniest shit about New York State politics is like this guy. There are many versions of this guy. All right, like boy, oh boy, he is not a anomaly.
So the elder Mr. Collins was forced to resign from office last year after being indicted in an insider trading conspiracy that eventually led to a guilty plea and his sentencing last week to 26 months in prison.
Danny, according to your calculations, how long is 26 months in years?
Well, David, let me just pull off my brain cap here. 26 months, that would be 2 years and 2 months.
Whoa.
That's right. He is as old as, I don't know, like that one category of like infant wear, like he's graduated from 8 to 12 months to 16 to 24-ish months,
That metaphor would have been so much better if you had the category by name down.
Yeah.
It's so helpful. You'd be like, yeah, he's as old as that one kind of baby.
Yeah,
he's that old.
He's a medium baby.
Yeah.
He's absolutely not a toddler, for sure not a toddler, but definitely like not a little itty baby.
Like he's starting to show some calves.
Yeah, chubby calves for sure.
Sure.
Yeah,
Terrible twos.
Mm-hmm.
Some thick muscles on that baby.
Yeah.
In Roger Rabbit, he'd be ready to start chomping on a cigar.
Yeah.
So what happened in this story? Why are they getting this whole thing?
Okay, well, insider trading. I mean, I think you've heard of it before. It's one of those things that our America's favorite cook. She
Martha
got caught for that.
Dude, OG Martha, almost out of the zeitgeist. Like there are many Zoomers out there who are like, "What do you mean Martha Stewart did something? Who is Martha Stewart?
Can I have a Martha? Yeah,
yeah. Nobody knows that. A lot of people don't.
Well, I feel like Snoop Dogg breathed a little bit of new life into her career.
Dude,
I forgot about that.
He blazed a new life into her. You gotta have a weed metaphor when you're talking about.
If Martha Stewart is the George W. Bush to Snoop Dogg's Ellen.
Yo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rehab.
Dude, reversed because Ellen breathed life back into George W. Bush. Snoop Dogg breathing life back into Martha
Ellen
Stewart.
In this analogy.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And in all analogies, frankly.
Yeah.
They're basically the same person.
Oh, yeah.
But the true extent of the disgraced lawmaker's downfall was perversely worse. The criminal conspiracy also swept up Cameron Collins and his future father-in-law. At his son's sentencing last week, Chris Collins, 69, begged the judge. He begged the judge to show his son mercy, placing the blame for his son's role in the scheme on himself.
Mercy? I thought someone's name was Cameron.
Oh, mercy. He was the one, prosecutors say, who called his son in summer 2017, and based on an insider tip, encouraged him to sell his shares in an Australian drug company.
Boy, mate, you got to take our druggies out of your stock portfolio.
Well, you know, the thing, once you know that something's going south with your company, how could you keep your money in?
Yeah,
you legally have to.
I understand that you have to, but it's almost like saying, "Hey, there's a wall, and you're driving a car. It's going 70 miles an hour. There's a wall. You can't see it, and you've got a baby in the back seat, in a baby seat, but not wearing
back.
Not wearing a belt. You know,
Mm-hmm.
And what? You're not supposed to put the brakes on.
I mean, you're
supposed to crash and then let the baby fly. It's a 2-year-old. It's like, 26-month-old baby. Fly. Cannonball through the front seat windshield and just like splat like a overripe tomato.
Just vaporize. Yeah.
Cool.
No, yeah. Yes, but in this analogy, you get, before you're even going 70 miles per hour, you're like, I'm pretty sure there's a wall at the end of this journey of ours, but I don't even give a shit. All right, because I'm going to be going 70 miles per hour, and that's it's just going to be fun. I don't give a fuck. You're
letting the good times roll. I see what you're talking about.
Yes.
Well, so Chris Collins, let's see what he says here. I have destroyed the reputation of our son, the light of my life. He said it, brother.
Brother, you. Oh boy.
He goes, the reason he's in this spot is because of me.
So can we skim down to where the wealth came from? Like where did this? What is this? Tell us more about this Australian thing. Like, what are the details of the actual?
Great. So some of the
shit,
wealth stemmed from successful businesses that his father had helped manage before being elected to represent New York's 27th Congress district in 2012. Chris Collins was also on the board of Innate Immunotherapeutics.
Can you say that in an Australian accent?
Innate in immunotherapeutics.
I'm going to walk about to Innate Immunotherapeutics.
Innate Immunotherapeutics.
Innate Immunotherapeutics.
Innate Immunotherapeutics.
Innate Immunotherapeutics.
Therapeutics.
Innate Immunotherapeutics.
Immunotherapeutics. Yeah, the prefix for that is a fucking mouthful.
That's not a pharmaceutical company.
This is a pharmaceutical immunotherapeutics.
A dingo ate my son, Cameron.
Oh no, a dingo named Greed. A company, so Innate Immunotherapeutics is a company that was developing treatment for multiple sclerosis.
Okay.
Sclerosis, which is cool. That's what got Richard Pryor, and it would have been cool if they'd actually come up with a solution for that. 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I were him, I would have been like, why, instead of investing in this company, why don't I have an ice bucket challenge for this? You know what I mean? Like, that's where he went wrong.
Hey, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this bucket of ice and I'm going to dump it on my head because it's so uncomfortable.
Now, everybody take out your iPhone 10s and videotape it.
No, your iPhone 8 at this time. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like you're going back in time to be historically accurate.
I'm trying. I try.
Prop master Danny Phelps.
Look, the continuity, you got to keep it. You got to keep it right.
It's
right?
a period piece.
Yeah.
So on June 22nd, 2017, while attending a picnic on the White House lawn, the elder Mr. Collins received an email from the company's chief executive. An experimental multiple sclerosis drug that Innate was developing had failed the clinical trial, the email said. Chris Collins was shocked. He had spent years promoting the company to his family, friends, and colleagues as a promising investment. The news was
this
sure.
Is his own fucking fault.
Yes. He was trying to make fetch a thing, and
Yeah, he did, and it didn't work. It didn't work.
And he got a lot of people to put a lot of money down on fetch.
Yeah.
So the news was sure to send the stocks plummeting. Now imagine he's hanging out with Donald Trump.
Yeah, he's
Shaking his tiny hand.
on the lawn. He's got a nice a pet gnat there that he's really excited to try out, and there's a nice blanket that has a Scotch tape pattern on it, and it's really beautiful. And then all of a sudden, bzz, bzz. Oh, hey guys, 1 second, let me just. Oh no, that's
first
terrible.
thing he does. Yeah, he gets this bad news. What's the first thing you do? First thing I do whenever I get bad news is I call Cameron Collins.
Yeah, I call my son.
Yeah.
he is America's son. He's all our sons. Mr. Collins called his son, who owned more than 5 million innate shares.
Whoa! I was not expecting millions.
Most of it bought by his father.
Daddy knows best, baby.
Oh, there we go.
Wait, so why is his father, concealing all of his own investments in his son's portfolio?
Dude, continue.
In the 6-minute call, that's all it took, Chris Collins told his son that he should try to sell the shares before the trial results became public.
This is... Dude, you know what this is? I had the perfect synthesis. This is the perfect analogy and the through line between both Trump and his family's existence and history, and Hunter and Joe Biden's in family history, because it's got the both elements of it. Because on one hand, you have some New York dipshit who's like, "Yo, you gotta buy this pharmaceutical company from or whatever," doing illegal weird shit on that end, and then on the other hand, you have a father-son relationship where the son is just innately benefiting from this weird, fatherly thing.
Dude, Hunter stumbles out of Archibald's strip club on a crack cocaine bender. He goes into rehab or whatever, he has a couple V8s. He sleeps it off. And then he opens up his email on his BlackBerry that he hasn't looked at for 3 weeks because he's been on a bender, and bing, there is a message from a Ukrainian petrol oligarch who says, "Hey, come work for me, buddy.
You have a job now that you didn't apply for." Yeah, this is like, honestly, it's very satisfying, because it truly is kind of like what would happen in a perfect world where both of these separate parties actually get persecuted.
So this is where it actually gets really good, Danny. This is great. Okay, so he should have said no from the beginning, a lawyer for Cameron Collins told Judge Broderick on Thursday. He should have stood up to his father. Just like Luke stood up to Darth,
I'm sending this to my dad right now. Tell him I'm not coming home for Thanksgiving.
I'm drawing a line in the sand. But Mr. Collins was shaken by how distraught his father sounded and wanted to make him feel better.
Oh.
He was my hero, Mr. Collins said in court on Thursday, his voice breaking through tears. He always seemed to do the right thing, and I always trusted him. After getting the call from his father, Cameron Collins was torn for another reason. He knew that he would soon be proposing to Miss Zarsky, and that he had information that could help her parents. They were both shareholders because of his encouragement.
This is the thing, man.
This is the
a
dumbest
tangled
shit.
web we weave.
Dads and wives, man. They're just the two most oppressive forces in the world.
Because he could have probably gotten his own money out and gotten away with it.
Yeah, probably.
But he now is telling Zarsky's father about the deal. And the more people you let on in the secret, the harder it is. It's kind of like the Lufthansa heist in Goodfellas. The more people that know, the easier it's going to be that this thing's going to unravel.
Yeah,
as with most schemes,
Yes,
they can't. They fucking I mean, they're just like little children with their faces covered in chocolate. Like I didn't eat the chocolate. They can't help themselves.
So Miss Zarsky's father, Stephen, had put $143,900, most of his retirement savings, into innate shares, according to a court filing.
Wait, this guy takes all of his retirement fund and does breaks rule number 1 of all investing, which is don't have like a consolidated portfolio. like he took it all and put it on red and was like, yeah, this will be fine.
Also, have you ever given a dealer money for drugs prematurely? When the drugs weren't there, he's like, I'll be back. Trust me.
Yeah. It's like, what are you doing?
They never come back.
Yeah. You can't do that. That's not the right thing.
You got to see the drugs first.
Uh-huh. Even if they're weird, fake-looking drugs.
I need to see your innate immunotherapy pills and supplements right now. Put them on the table.
Put them on this. Yeah.
I mean, this company very well easily could be like an Elizabeth Holmes type company. Like, you just have no...
Dude, it doesn't even, that's the funny part. It doesn't even have the glitz and the glamour of like, we're going to solve all of the problems that have ever existed when it comes to medical diagnosis. It's just,
It's certainly going to solve all the problems that like Cameron Collins has with his father-in-law.
So,
yeah.
So Cameron Collins said that he feared what would happen to his relationship with Miss Zarinsky Miss Zarsky, sorry, if her parents lost their money. Yeah, he'd be up Schitt's Creek, man. He decided to tell them about the failed drug trial. He let them start selling their shares first and agreed to stagger his own selling to avoid depressing the stock price before everyone else sold. The tips spread quickly from there. Cameron Collins shared it with a friend. Miss Zarsky's father told his brother and another friend, these snitches.
Dude, these people, their lives are so fucking petulant and stupid. It's just like, buddy, what are you do? Stop it. Don't you realize what is going to happen? You're going to fuck this up. Yeah.
So many of those involved were able to sell their shares before the trial results became public. And H shares dropped 92% after that.
Whoa. Wow.
It appeared like they got away with it clean. Mr. Collins avoided losing $571,000 as a result of his father's tip. He owned such a large chunk of an H shares that he had to unload them in dozens of trades over several days.
Ooh.
So now he's chilling. He's fine. He's relaxed.
He's fine. He's chilling. He's cool.
His heart rate's gone back down to normal. And then months later, when FBI agents knocked on their doors, Chris and Cameron Collins both lied to them. It was a coordinated effort to cover up their crimes, prosecutors said.
FBI shows up, don't say shit. Don't say shit. Just don't say shit.
Right. If they'd just been like, who? Everything would have been fine. But someone always cracks. That's why you have to kill everyone else in the conspiracy.
You have to murder violently.
Right.
Everybody.
Man.
Yeah. It's
You know, there's a reason Epstein's not here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Reservoir Dogs, that shit.
Yeah. Got to cut off some ears. One of the fucking dumb lackeys was too busy eating, was covered in sauce at the local wingery, and then was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And then the FBI was like, boom, we got him.
Yeah, once we get one person, the whole pyramid topples.
Yeah.
Prosecutors said that the illegal trades had been motivated by greed.
They've been motivated by passion.
It's just this guy was fearing.
I think it was a little bit of lust.
Sure, yeah.
Her name is Zarsky. She's got to be hot.
That's
real. Come on. Her last name is. That's a hot girl name.
Zarsky.
If her name is like Chelsea Zarsky, not even Chelsea. Emily Zarsky.
Emma
Zarsky. Emma Zarsky is gonna be hot.
You know what
she's got money and she's hot.
She's thick and from Scarsdale.
Yeah.
That is a very East Coast sort of vibe name. That is not a West Coast name. You're not gonna that's I went to a very privileged summer camp.
Yeah, dude.
Like I rode the horses.
Well, if this story didn't end badly for everyone, it would have sounded like a zany rom-com.
Sure.
You know, because it really is like a conspiracy, a criminal scheme that is with one of the linchpins in it being romance.
Yeah. I mean,
he's just trying to keep his family together.
It's not even like romance. It's just sort of like it's like petty. No, it's not petty. It is just misplaced like care or like worry essentially, because I mean, again, these guys are people. They're just dumb. They're just fucking dumb. It's like you can't do what you're. It's like you're doing what you can't do, which is unload all of your stocks at once because it's obvious what's going to happen. if you were just smart about it.
That's right, but they did give them the drama. There's a drama behind each one of their actions. Like I can understand why they did it.
Yeah. Sure.
It's just it's going to end poorly.
Yeah.
Which is what you're saying. Like they are dumb.
Yeah, they're it's like dumb. It's dumb New York shithead stuff. It
is such dumb.
That's something people should understand if you don't live in New York City or New York State. Is that I think people do look at New York and they immediately think of New York City, which is fair. I think it's something like 4 out of 10 people in New York State, maybe a little bit more, live here. But people forget that there is a whole many portions of New York, and imagine the same kind of like New York-y attitude, but like not in Brooklyn or Manhattan or this area.
Totally.
Imagine that in the fucking middle of nowhere, but still that weird kind of arrogance. It's bizarre.
So let's see what happens next.
How much did the little boy get? How much did Cameron get? What was his sentence?
Didn't he get? I got to scroll down.
It looks like for me, I see he got no prison time and got 4 years probation. Is that right?
My God, he didn't even get prison time.
A lot of community service.
Yeah.
Her father.
That's
her
the
father,
funny.
like the younger Mr. Collins, also. Yeah. So Zarsky was banned from practicing as an accountant.
Oh
5
no!
Years. Yeah, and then her dad and Mr. Collins both got 4 years probation. And he was crying, and they're still going to get married.
Oh, that's so nice.
There's no one other than Cameron who I would rather spend my life with, Miss Starsky said, wrote in a letter to the judge. So look forward to the day when I can finally call him my dearly beloved husband. I pray that day will be soon. Yo, I want to know what their wedding website is like. And
it's dumb as shit. I'll tell you that right now. Oh, it is.
I wish that he was in jail at least for a couple weeks so that we could have an episode of Love After Lockup.
Yeah.
With a white-collar criminal.
Dude, I mean, that's the thing. The fucking 69-year-old, congressperson to New York, the dad, I mean, yeah, he's getting 26 months. There's no way he's going to fucking Rikers or whatever. He's going to a white-collar prison, certainly. And then he'll be 71 when he gets out. It's not like you're going to the fucking jail for the rest of your life. I mean, meanwhile, it's like you're a brown kid who puts up a tag in the Bronx because you're creatively trying to express yourself, and they're like,
because they don't have art classes anymore.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, we better make sure we put him in jail for 10 years.
I think that's an important thing to remember. It's what is the crime in insider trading, right? The crime is that you have access to this information that other people don't, and information is, if you are an investor, they're required disclosures, and these disclosures affect what you're going to do with your money, whether you're going to put in more, whether you're going to take out, whether you're going to do anything about it as a shareholder. So if you people think that it sounds like a victimless crime in some ways, Yeah, there's no blood, there's no actual thievery going on. This is just you telling a little secret to a little homie,
whispering secrets.
But they knew that it was a crime because he had to slowly withdraw it because he knew that he didn't want to catch the attention of regulators. It's a crime because you have information that no one else does, and that's cheating.
Yes.
And so there's what's weird about it is just that how much we think about, how people think the system is rigged, and people think that there is so much that is cheating going on, but there's cheating that is allowed and cheating that is just this is just too obvious.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And insider trading is one of those things where this is just too an obvious of a form of cheating, and there are other tools that you can do that's legal cheating, essentially, and this is one form of illegal cheating.
Yeah, and
makes sense.
That's almost even the more embarrassing part. Is bro, your entire industry is legally cheating, and
it's humiliating.
And you were the one of the percentage of people who were too dumb to illegally cheat. It's I'm sure you could have fucking figured this out in some way, but you couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's so it's so stupid.
It's so dumb.
It reminds me a little bit of the Bernie Madoff movie with Robert De Niro too, because
we have to watch that.
Yeah, Bernie, the Madoff, the bad Bernie, Bizarro Bernie,
yeah.
He got a lot of his family friends, to invest in the scheme. So he was just burning all of these people close to him too, like his sons, father-in-law, and all these people that like are going to be your support network if you do get caught committing a crime.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, what happens when you're a fucking old man who's like ostracized and estranged yourself from every one of the people who could potentially be close to you in some way? It's like, oh yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, no one's gonna send you a cake with a file in it if you're the reason that they lost their life savings.
Yeah, Ponzi schemes are hilarious because David has sent us quite a few examples of Ponzi schemes, and they all invariably have like the same kind of like notes and tastes to them, which is like some guy started a Ponzi scheme and then he bought like a fucking gaudy McMansion and a boat, and then it got taken away from him because the people found out he was doing a Ponzi scheme. It's incredible. It's an incredibly short-sighted crime, essentially. Like, you can't underestimate how quickly this shit gets back to you, you know?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So
what's next on the list?
So look, this is gonna get into some crazy shit.
Oh, nice.
So there's this. Okay, so we were talking about shareholders a second ago. Okay, so shareholders every year vote on things. Some of them are like big, like you vote on who's going to control the company. You're going to vote on who's going to be the board of directors. Like if you know, and then or you're going to vote on who is going to whether then you can do anything. Actually, a shareholder has stakes in a company, and you can technically raise any issue you want to.
Yeah, it's actually a thing. I think so. For context, I think David, you're talking about like publicly traded companies.
It's a publicly traded company, yeah.
Which is I think sometimes this thing will kind of sometimes get brought up in movies in a kind of goofy, hackneyed way, where there'll be a shareholder meeting in like a big auditorium or something like that.
Yeah.
And some guy will be like, well, I bought 1 share of your stock today, so I am a shareholder, and I'm here to air my grievances.
And everyone has that right, and that's like a weird thing about publicly traded companies. They actually do have some like democratic procedures in them. Mm-hmm. You think of like, oh my God, Apple, evil, doesn't have any, but there actually are avenues that you could take in theory. The problem is that they have to be voted on, agreed to by everybody, which is like very, very challenging when people who own shares of the company are also controlling the company and like running the company, because they're not going to vote for something that's not in their interests, right? If you say like, we want to get rid of Elon Musk and put in Greta Thunberg to be like the head of Tesla, then like you're probably not going to go very far in a proxy shareholder meeting. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like,
we must get rid of these cars. They are destroying our world.
I don't want to get rid of them. They're my favorite.
You know what we should do is put Evo Morales as head of Tesla, because he definitely just got thrown over because of the lithium shit.
Yeah, you're right.
Totally, like Elon Musk basically like single-handedly overthrew Evo Morales. Anyways, we'll get into that.
We're not going to talk about Evo Morales this episode.
She sounds like high-pitched, kind of hushed Werner Herzog.
Oh yeah. Oh, she's got that.
Such a high bounty on such a small package.
It's Werner Herzog on helium with a little bit of extra righteous indignation.
Just his daughter. That's just
it's
Werner Herzog's daughter.
What are you doing?
It's like she's trying to bring it up to 11, but she like the amplifier is capable of doing it.
Anyways, for context, we're not making fun of her. We're just talking about her voice.
Greta Thunberg is fine, but like she for real is riding this wave.
So, back to the subject matter at hand. Basically, there's these 2 really big firms that basically help out shareholders with these annual votes called proxy votes. That's what they're called. But they're annual shareholder votes, and you will get somebody to vote in your absence. Sometimes you'll get a proxy to vote in your absence, and then these proxies don't know what to do. Sometimes your proxy is going to be your asset manager, who's going to be managing your mutual fund that you are, so that they're going to vote. You invest in a mutual fund, and that mutual fund owns like gives you 1/400th of a share in Apple because it has a diverse portfolio, right?
Yes.
Then you as a mutual fund asset manager, you are the proxy for the shareholder who owns the mutual fund, who in turn owns 1/400th of Apple. Does that
make
make sense?
It's a little topsy turvy, but I think to sum that part up, people, you can't fit the number of people in an auditorium who probably actually.
Yeah, and that's just not how investing works these days. Everyone owns 1/164th of things. People don't own a share anymore. There's it's just too decentralized. There's
prohibitive,
There's just no because everything is just kind of commingled is the common word that's used. All assets are commingled. Everyone does funds. No one does direct investment. It's just not as much of a common thing. There aren't enough Chris Collinses in this world who are direct investors. You know what I mean? That's
who are
true American patriots who invest directly into a company.
Who are taking their stepfather's or father-in-law's whole fucking retirement fund and just being like, I'm all in. I'm all in on Australian medicine, baby.
So anyways, these asset managers, they need to get somebody to consult for them on how to vote these 400 proxy shares that they may have.
Right, because they don't know what they're doing.
They don't know what they're doing, and they're busy running the firm. They're busy running and skimming off the top and doing whatever fun things that they might do. Do whatever fund management that they have to do. So they hire these things called proxy advisory firms. Okay. Recently, the SEC proposed a rule that would limit the influence of proxy advisory firms through a couple weird little procedural things. Okay, and a fun side effect of this, and this has been controversial because basically what it's trying to do is they want to give more management more power, and they're accusing these two proxy advisory firms of being this oligopoly, this little cabal that they're trying to control all publicly traded companies through these things, especially because these two firms, they are really, really into promoting what is called ESG.
Environmental, social and governance concerns are playing a bigger role in manager allocations. In a recent Natixis survey, a majority of investors said that a company with higher integrity will outperform its peers.
As the popularity of sustainability investing continues to grow, understanding ESG scoring methodology becomes increasingly important.
Environmental social governance is essentially value-driven investments, like morals, ethics-driven investments. Okay, this is as Bloombergian as it gets as far as an ethos, right?
So the song that they sing to themselves is "We Are the World," the 1985 hit with every celebrity from that era.
They say that as they're doing some, as they're voting on a proxy vote. Okay, so in the past, proxy advisory, proxy voting has been used for stuff like the anti-apartheid stuff, and it's been very, very big with environmental social governance as a tactic to promote environmental investing with publicly traded companies, or to get publicly traded companies to do more environmental stuff. It's trying to change the system from within.
So they have a positive. They have a positive agenda.
Not according to a few right-wing YouTubers, people who are invested in YouTube. So this new story that just came out last week. YouTube video. This YouTube video encourages real Americans to urge the SEC to clamp down on proxy advisory firms that they say are imposing a liberal agenda on corporate America.
Oh, this is how it all ties in.
So there is this random YouTube video, and this got traction in Bloomberg Law, which is weird. It's one YouTube video, and this person is Holly Turner, a frequent guest on Fox News. She's with her activist, quote unquote, husband, Chris Turner. I mean, who knows who these people actually work for or where they're getting their money. So basically, because of this rule, they are put out this YouTube video, and then Bloomberg Law recycled this story as well, reposted the story that was urging the SEC to vote against crackdown on ISS and Glass-Lewis, on these proxy advisory firms, because what they're doing is they're promoting a liberal agenda, and doing all this sort of stuff, and they're anti-guns and they're pro-climate change.
They're anti-climate. They're anti-climate change.
Yeah, fighting climate change.
They're fighting climate change.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's just.
They want to acknowledge it. Yeah,
they want to acknowledge it. So in that sense, it's pro. But
so right now, I'm leaning favorably towards the idea of these two proxy companies.
Yeah, I kind of take back what I said before because I didn't know exactly what it was.
It's hard to. It's so esoteric. It's this is so deep in the fucking weeds that it's really confusing.
Dude, remember that scene from Jurassic Park 2, you guys, where there's a bunch of raptors there too? That we're in the weeds. We're in the tall grass.
Could I try to boil it down?
Yeah.
If you own a partial share of a company, you're kind of like an American citizen who can vote.
Yeah.
And then the mutual fund managers are like the electoral college that take into account what their shareholders probably want, but then actually do cast the vote. And then the proxy servers are the political consultants to the electoral college.
That's right. Not even electoral college. You could say these are your representatives in Congress.
Yeah.
The asset managers are your representatives in Congress, and the proxy advisory firms are lobbyists, essentially.
Okay.
But it's the same concept. Yeah. So, but these two in particular are promoting the liberal agenda, basically. And so there's been all these letters where they're like, oh my God, like everyday Americans, we like, I'm sorry, but anyone who actually writes a comment letter to the SEC probably has it's a bit of brainworm. Like they have some brain, like unless it is your job to be paid to write a comment letter for an agency, or you like watched a John Oliver video or whatever. Like people who actually just do it have brainworms. I've read some of these, I've read comment letters before from just like normal retirees who have nothing better to do but comment on SEC agency rules.
Grandpa Simpson, a whole room of Grandpa Simpson.
It's just it's a whole room
typewriters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like these people write these things like, I am concerned as a as a retired retired trying to think of as a retired accountant, I am super concerned about this rule that doesn't affect accounting at all.
Here, maybe think about it this way: we just, as a society, became somewhat familiar and willing to accept the idea of contacting your elected representative in the last 3 to 4 years. Like there was lots of pushes from people where it's like, you guys, sorry, but we got to start holding our congresspeople and senators, to accountability now. Sorry, we have to do it. And people are kind of like, okay, I will call Chuck Schumer. I will call this person. It's not a crazy idea anymore.
Yeah.
But the idea of writing a letter to the SEC is
it's next level. Look, this is the thing.
It's some sicko shit,
It is some sicko shit. And this is just me trying to be culturally honest about who these people are. They should not have a monopoly on this democratic process. We should all be commenting on all these rules because they affect all of us one way or another. Mm-hmm. But looking at it objectively, a lot of these people are just desperate and sad, and they're really just weird bumpkin, or just like culturally bumpkin people. You know what I mean? I'm sure they're wealthy because they have time to know, educated enough to know how to do this shit. But I mean, they're just
what I want to see is the movie of the high school teacher, the Dead Poets Society Part 2.
Yeah, okay.
Where you have a manic, needy, extroverted teacher.
Yeah.
Who lights a fire of inspiration in the minds of all of his teenage students and gets them thirsty for SEC regulations and bylaws. And has them all
be the change.
Write heroic couplets.
Yeah.
Everything's got to be, soliloquies to the SEC.
Oh my God!
But that would be so fucking bleak if you
keep in mind David works in this industry.
Dude, can you imagine can you imagine actually being just a government employee and having to read a sonnet as to why the proxy advisory firm rules are bad for the liberal? It would just be
Elizabethan English. It would be sick, bro.
Oh man, God.
I mean, yeah, it would. Oh God, I rue the day.
So these fucking YouTubers, these weird,
put out this video and everyone commented on it,
are voting on behalf of us, the shareholders. And this is great because we don't have time to do it and they know more about it and they can do research and things like that. But recently they've started doing something different. And instead of voting on the issues, shareholder proposals and things like that, in a way that would give us the best return and it's best for us financially, they've started voting on things that would help their progressive left agenda. We're seeing abortion, climate change, sanctuary cities, gun control. These are all issues now that these companies are being forced to deal with because these proxy advisory firms are saying, hey, we want to talk about this and you need to give money to this and you need to not support vendors unless they support all these things. And they're really holding these companies hostage.
And that segues into the larger conversation, which is about ESG, which we want to talk about as much as we can tonight.
I think that should take up the rest of the show.
Yeah.
It's a big topic.
There's a lot to say about it. ESG, as we said, is called, impact investing is also another word for it. But basically the idea is that you try to steer either your fund, your mutual fund, or your direct ownership, and you use that to try and invest in more whatever second bottom line besides profit.
Yeah.
Okay. The second bottom line can be environment, it can be labor rights, it can be abortion, it can be anti-alcohol, it can be pro-life, it can be any issue that you deem important. But for our purposes, the most important one is climate change these days.
Yeah.
Climate change is the paramount of kind of like use of this today. And the weird thing that happened recently was there is this firm called BlackRock, which doesn't sound ominous at all.
No. It sounds very, very non-evil.
Yeah, it sounds super chill.
Yeah.
So, look, BlackRock is the largest private asset manager in the country, and they put out a letter that said that they for years they've been getting pressure because there have been asset managers, people who control people's money,
yeah,
right, as an asset, who have been, we're going to incorporate ESG, we're going to incorporate climate change in terms of like how we're going to think about insurance, how we're going to think about real estate, and also just like in general as like a thing to throw into the mix. This is not saying that they are going to fully divest from fossil fuels, but they are going to think about it, which is probably the most milquetoast, kind of.
I assure the shareholders that after giving this lots of thought, I will maybe consider it someday.
Yeah, exactly. So look, BlackRock has $7 trillion.
Jesus,
$7 trillion.
Right, I was not expecting a T. That is.
It's always surprising,
dude. That is the United States debt, isn't it? That's like how much we owe. That's like how much we owe China.
I mean, that's all the money you need. With that much money, you could build the moon hotel that I've been waiting for.
Yeah, dude, $7 trillion. I think it's something to the effect like the entire world economy is like $80 trillion or something like that. So that's like, oh my God.
So there's this one guy, Larry Fink, who's the CEO of BlackRock, and he controls, if that's true, he controls close to 10% of all money.
Yeah, of money.
Of value. Like literally like the concept of
value.
Yeah, right? He controls 10% of global value.
Yeah.
And so basically he had just been getting pressure from activists, from the media, from other investment firms, from all sorts of people saying we need to start caring about the environment. And basically, they're trying to make it a new standard for investing, and it was a big deal. People were like, "Oh my God, this is
oh my God!
It's a huge deal," because he's like very, it'd be like, if all of a sudden Harvard decided that it was going to have free tuition.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's that sort of like influence, sea change. You know what I mean? That could really like make that people think that'd be a big deal. Some people are skeptical about it, obviously. For obvious reasons, like so President Sierra Club was like, seems cool. Let's see how it goes. I like don't just do some like accounting, mumbo jumbo and like do a lot of talk is cheap is kind of what she was saying.
Sure.
Which is I think that's like the natural response, right?
Yeah, she said seems cool, and then proceeded to have several eagles land on her as she was taking a beautiful Ansel Adams style picture of Half Dome.
And so, I don't know. I mean, like, is this a good thing? I guess let's talk about that for a short period of time. Like, do you guys think that this letter is a good thing? That him pledging this?
I mean, I think I'm okay. What I would say is, I think I'm very much like Eagle Lady from the Sierra Club. Because I very much look at these kind of things as not really serving the ultimate purpose that they're sort of implying. I was going to mention this earlier, but I think plays in very aptly right now, David. This shit kind of reminds me of like what a B corporation is.
Yeah,
you know?
it's exact. And so he will also be having like sustainable investments in like in addition to like incorporating ESG as like a principle into all parts of BlackRock. He will also like expand the number of funds that exclusively invest in B Corps.
Yeah. Oh,
in environmental B Corps specifically.
Yeah, yeah. And for context,
What's a B Corp again?
Exactly. Yeah. So a B corporation is like, so we've all, maybe we haven't. There's such a thing as like an S Corp, which is just like a corporation under like tax code.
Honestly,
I've looked into it very slightly. You know, you have sole proprietors, LLCs, shit like that. All right. You have like an S Corp, which is like a corporation. You have like, I think it means you have like board members and what have you. So B Corp is basically just a corporation, but the intention behind it is not purely capitalistic in the sense that like we need to make as much money as possible.
Yeah, I mean these are this is like the Tom's Shoes. Like Tom's Shoes is a classic.
Tom's Shoes is an excellent example.
It's because they also part of their business model is also building shoes and giving it to poor nations.
When people ask me what a B corporation is, I tell them it's a company that has subjected itself to an independent assessment of its impact in the world on communities, on people, and on the environment.
Yeah, but those people don't even need the shoes, though. They're like, we've got enough shoes.
Yeah, and also you're like totally ruining small shoe owners.
Yeah,
in all these countries,
and therein
cynical.
Therein lies the problem, essentially, which is my thing, which is like hearing him say or hearing David say that this is upwards of $7 trillion in value and wealth. Like, yeah, that is such a big number that even if they were like, okay, 90% of what we're doing is going to say the exact same, but 10% of it will divest into like whatever these more environmentally, sustainable things are. Like, that's $700 billion.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's the
from a harm reduction perspective, it's all very good.
It's all very good, but again, it would be way more chill and cool if it was just like, yeah, we're gonna do it by half, or we're just gonna not be focused on profit, essentially.
Well, I wonder who it is that sets up the metric by which something is judged as ESG.
That is,
like if I say, hey, I'm gonna be healthier, I'm eating right, and no one's monitoring me. Like there's no nutritionist there's no doctor, and you don't even see me eat. But I tell you guys I'm going to be eating better.
Abe, I need to see you eat.
What does that mean? That I've gone from eating McDoubles at McDonald's to just eating chicken McNuggets because like chicken's healthier than whatever they call meat.
Yeah.
Or beef.
That is like that is so people are worried that there's gonna be fakers, right? About like they're gonna lie about how green they are, or they're gonna be like, they're gonna like misrepresenting. And as we were saying earlier, like disclosure is a legal obligation of an investment fund. So the SEC recently has been looking into whether people are fully disclosing and being honest about how ESG they are. Or they said basically this story came out in the Wall Street Journal in late December or mid-December that said ESG funds draw SEC scrutiny. And basically the worry is they don't really know what they're looking into, but presumably they're looking into if you say you're investing in ESG, are you?
Yeah.
If you say you're investing in ESG, are you investing in ESG to the detriment of maximizing returns? Because look, I mean, yes, we can say like we want them to like get rid of the profit motive, but this is BlackRock is like, I would say a huge percentage of people's retirement funds are in BlackRock owned funds. So like you have to be a little bit careful about being like, okay, well, they still have a job to make sure that retirees can retire well.
They have a fiduciary responsibility.
That's right. They do have a fiduciary responsibility. So
yeah, the problem is this shit essentially, I mean, not to throw a buzzword around that is very popular today, but is very accurate, is like this just seems to be the absolute pinnacle of like neoliberal like, economic policy is like, we're going to make sure that this is friendly and fun for the environment.
Yeah.
And therein lies the problem where it's like, it's not meaningful. it's not meaningful change. I mean, I think there's been several studies and like, you know, this isn't unfounded what I'm saying, but there are many scientists have said like if everybody stopped driving cars tomorrow, no more cars were ever driven, it like the environment would still be like irreparably damaged for like decades essentially.
Yeah.
So if you're doing an ESG thing where your specific purpose is like we want to help the environment a little bit, it's one of those things where unless that number is like 20, 30, 40, 50%, you know, of your divestment,
we need people to be ramping it up.
Yeah, it's like to what end is it?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And so like I mean the weird thing is that they've been the SEC's LA branch like sent out these exam letters saying that they were going to start looking into this ESG. The question is like if someone's committing this lack of disclosure to that's called greenwashing, right? You guys maybe have heard of that, where like Clorox says that their wipes are organic, but they're not, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
it's a form of gaslighting us with advertising that makes things sound like using buzzwords like organic, sustainable, clean
when it's not.
Yeah,
exactly. This same
clean coal.
So the same thing applies for funds for investing. But the question is how much does that actually play into a company's fiduciary duty if the company advertises itself as an ESG fund? If you and I are investing in an ESG fund, the common logic is we want to invest in environmental social governance, whatever the mission of the company is. So if they are violating that mission, is that a violation of the fiduciary duty? Or is that just so long sucks to suck, man? You know, because because there is no definition of ESG anywhere in the law. It's just about whether you're being honest about what you're saying it is. Yeah. That's the only thing. You can't lie to people, but you set up the goalpost and you got to follow through with it.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
But the goalpost then has to be things that are obtainable or are measurable.
Yes,
to a degree because if you just like I said, if you just say, well, it's clean, we don't even know what that means, or like you could be like, dude, we're totally detoxing our mutual funds.
But like at the same time though, is that like if you say it as vague as possible, then you actually owe less to these people, because you could say that anything is detoxing, and then like you can argue that you weren't being. But if you were more specific and said we are going to only invest in wind, and you invest 10% in solar, then like that's actually more of a lie than if you said something that was like you just said. That's all the SEC cares about, is that whether you're saying what you're saying is true.
Yeah.
And so there's a good thing about it is you think like, okay, this is an agency that cares about honesty. This is an agency that's trying to crack down on hypocritical greenwashing, gaslighting bullshit, right? But this is the Trump administration's SEC.
Yeah,
okay?
I was going to say, doesn't this all sort of fall apart?
This is the Trump. And so like there is reasonable scrutiny that you're like, okay, ESG has grown explosively in the financial sector. It is now, from when I talk to somebody, it is now like 25% of all investments in funds have some sort of ESG option in them.
Really?
Whereas like beginning of last decade, it was like 1/12th or something much smaller. You know what I mean? Like
oh my God,
1/100th. I mean, it's just like it was so minuscule, and now this is becoming mainstream. And so they're like, okay, so they care about it, care about fraud, care about all of us.
We care about fraud. Come on.
But so then there was this Trump administration executive order that makes you kind of question whether they're actually whether they actually care about you. So there's this executive order called is from last April, promoting energy infrastructure and economic growth. The whole thing is talking about how they want to expand coal, oil, and natural gas. Section 5 of this executive order, like way down in the executive order, for some reason, talks about environmental, social, and governance issues.
Okay, ESGs.
So he says, you just imagine that Trump is saying it, right? But like basically, what this executive order says is that ESG is not material for a fiduciary duty of a Department of Labor fiduciary duty in a retirement plan. They clarify in the middle. Does that make sense?
I think I do get that. I think I get that. Yeah.
So say it one more time.
They are saying that if you have a retirement plan that is registered under that is regulated by the Department of Labor, okay,
yes.
So those retirement plans the definition of fiduciary duty is different under those than under other under other like SEC regulated entities. Okay, the Department of Labor retirement plans, their definition of fiduciary duty explicitly per this Trump executive order, or he's going to like implement a rule that promulgates this or whatever, but like saying that ESG factors do not mean fiduciary duty explicitly.
So there's no ESG for federal employees' retirement funds.
It's complicated. It's not that. It is that there is a body of law that regulate all retirement plans for all Americans.
Oh, okay.
Because
so
this
even
is
wider. Yeah.
Even wider than just like all government employees. This is the Department of Labor has this law called ERISA, Employee Retirement Income Security Act. So anything that is any fund that is regulated by the laws of ERISA, which is a huge swath of retirement funds. A lot of Americans, regular motherfuckers, have their money in retirement plans.
Yes.
The Trump administration is basically saying ESG cannot be a material factor in your fiduciary decisions. Basically, he's saying that retirees cannot have access to ESG. That is the law. That is the short of it.
Yeah.
There's a short of it.
We got plan A, we got plan B. Plan A, you make a lot of money. Plan B, you make a little bit less money, but we don't kill this bald eagle.
Yeah.
You got to take plan A because plan B you can't even consider.
Yeah. Exactly. Whereas if you
all
have
the bald eagles I got good news and bad news.
Yeah.
The good news is that you can afford that ski-doo.
Yeah.
The bad news, no more bald eagles. No more
bald. This is such a. I think I would point this out just to listeners to, when we think of the executive order in the past 3 years since Trump has been in office, essentially has become a very hot topic thing. Lots of presidents have done executive orders, but I think specifically in the last 3-ish years, because Trump is very much like a monolith and like has tried to impose his will in certain ways.
Yeah,
the executive order as a whole has become very, very like seen essentially. So like the biggest,
especially by the opposition,
specifically. So the biggest example that I can think of to date being the one where we're going to limit the number of immigration. From Syria?
The travel ban.
The travel ban is like maybe the best example of that.
So yeah. Exactly.
So like this executive order, it's like that Donald Trump had trouble knowing where Syria is on a map.
Yeah.
So it's like spoiler alert, he's kind of a dumb guy, So when you hear David talk about Section 5 of like paragraph 3 in this, it's like you fucking know, like beyond a shadow of a doubt that like an assistant to an assistant wrote that, like,
and they're getting paid by the Heritage Foundation to write these laws.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like if you were privileged enough to be in like a press, scrum with Donald Trump, and you're like, Donald Trump, how do you feel about the environmental something, whatever we were just saying? He'd be like, I think it's great, glorious, it's amazing, and he would do that,
Yeah,
he's got a lot of ghostwriters.
He has so many ghostwriters, and that is important to remember that not only does he do this a lot, but he has a lot of people do this a lot. And he has no idea. And that's one thing that I find really annoying is when executives pretend like they don't know. I hate the I don't know defense because they say it because the average American person doesn't know. Mm-hmm. And so then when he says I don't know, it's like, oh, of course, well, I don't know what that is. And so he doesn't know what it is. That's perfectly reasonable. But this man is like the head of the executive branch. He knows exactly what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, and he'll do that. He'll use his stupidity and his intentional obfuscation from the rest of the American public to his own advantage to assert to the press that he doesn't know this thing when he very likely does.
I would do that all the time. I'd go to movie theaters and I would buy children's tickets when I was definitely a full-grown adult. With facial hair, and then I'd walk past the guy, the ticket holder, and he'd say, "Hey, man, this is a kid's ticket," and I would look at him with a slack jaw and say, "What?"
Dave's got a great face on right now.
He would try to explain to me what I did wrong, and I would act befuddled as though I didn't even speak English, not because I wasn't an English first person, but because I had some disability. At which point,
nice dude.
He would get very frustrated and just wave me through.
Yeah,
epic, man. Yeah,
dude, Trump style.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the thing is that
picture game. What? I just like Ford versus Ferrari, man.
Yeah, no, that's how I saw The Gray at the Kaufman Astoria Theater up in Queens.
That's what
happened? Kids tickets.
Yeah, that you got to game the system, man. You know.
The weird thing is that we just don't know. We know what the executive order is. This executive order is clearly trying to limit these proxy advisory firms, these like ESG investment people, and also just the ESG movement in general, to keep retirement plans, which is still a huge sector, out of that. We know that this executive order is trying to do that. But like, what are these people in LA doing? What's the SEC's office in LA doing when they're saying they're going to crack down on ESG? We don't know.
Dude, I think it's a combination of all these things, because like you have Donald Trump making an executive order, or his accountant making an executive order that's basically like, do not save the whales. You know,
exactly.
that is essentially what it is do not save the whales. But like, I don't think it's any fucking secret that like, even in the few episodes that we've recorded of this, like the SEC, like the financial sector at large, are like kind of ungovernable. Like you could, so it's just like, you can make as many executive orders you want, you can make as many laws as you want, and you could just dance around that. So we're kind of just at the whim right now of whether or not some fucking board, a rainbow coalition of people wants to actually save the whales or not, when we know that they're not activists and not people who are being impacted by the problems, but just like, do we want to feel good this
we got to do something. We want to do something within the system to make it work. So we want to act. We want to be able to do some marginal thing. You know, I mean, like, and the financial sector can be regulated, just not considering how big it is. I mean, that's the big problem.
Huge.
It's just like how much it's grown in every single sector, how much the financialization of our economy has made it to the point where the government cannot compete with it.
Yeah.
That's the real issue.
Yeah, when you brought up that this guy Larry Fink is in charge of $7 trillion.
Oh God,
some
number.
large number like that. I mean, that sounds like that he has more power than almost every national leader in the world.
That was more his letter did more single-handedly to reduce carbon emissions than the Paris Climate Accord.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like there is no doubt in my mind that it did that. Because he is actually controlling so much more, whereas the Paris Climate Accord was just like rough, thin, non-binding assurances that they will try to remain below 1.5 or whatever, 1.5 degrees. And so it's like, I mean, I think that that's really the problem when you're looking at trying to navigate the financial sector into some sort of imperative like climate change. Is like so little of this is democratic, and when it is, it's incredibly challenging to navigate the democratic process of like the shareholder proxy vote stuff is just like insanely challenging, and it is also so big that there is so much other crime going on. There's so many other things in motion, and there's so many individual people that have individual, completely non-democratic control over channels of power.
Dude,
fiefdoms.
Yeah,
little fiefdoms.
Dude, I mean, like if we could just paint with the mind palace here just for a moment. I mean, like really, I don't know who Larry Fink is. I don't know about his life. I don't know anything about this goddamn guy. But I don't think it is really out of question that he could have been, just hanging out. Maybe he lives in Greenwich, Connecticut. Maybe he takes the train. Maybe he takes the Metro North to get into to Lower Manhattan and stuff. Maybe he's getting back to his home back in Greenwich, and like his neighbor comes up and he's got a fucking Tesla 3. Ooh, that's kind of cool. And he's like, "Oh, Larry, have you tried one of these things? I got a big old they got a big old screen in the front, you know? Like, I don't know why this guy sounds like he's from Milwaukee, but like that's his neighbor in this case. And then like Larry looks at it and goes like, you know what? I do like Teslas. Yeah, and it just I just look at these people and I think we deify them sometimes to be like, yes, they are all knowing. They clearly have some sort of a equation that they're building off of. But like truly, if the guy was being pressured by environmental groups for years and stuff about this, who's to say that like it wasn't just something that arbitrary and that stupid, you know, where it's just like, you know what, I should care about this thing now. I mean, when you have that much power, that's how arbitrary that shit is.
Absolutely. It could have easily been his neighbor from Milwaukee.
Yeah,
for some reason. Like, there's no way there's any. It's like after consulting with numerous environmental groups and pressure from international asset managers who like. There was this big letter that international asset managers all signed, and like notably excluded from it was like all United States asset management firms. And this was like last year or something like that. And like, you know, obviously BlackRock wasn't a part of that. And he's like, but then like after getting pressure from all these people, I've decided to do this. But really, it was just like his wife was like, I want a Tesla.
The heart.
It's all with the heart, baby.
It's all feelings.
It's all feelings, and in that way. It's almost kind of encouraging. It's almost kind of encouraging because think about the major things that people have done when they didn't even realize they did or influenced.
I mean, humanity's greatest flaw is that no matter how much logic and reason we use in all of our powers, everything is predicated on the whims of the heart.
Yeah. What is that?
That's just me doing you, doing Werner.
Yeah. Oh, that was nice. That was a nice thing to say, though. I liked it.
Humanity's greatest whims are predicated on the heart. Yes, they are. I do not know what is.
Yeah. How do you distinguish between Werner Herzog and Greta Thunberg?
So the way I'm kind of doing it is like Werner. I think Werner Herzog. He's he's back here. He's more German, obviously. And I think Greta Thunberg. She obviously has a higher voice.
Yeah.
But she almost sounds like she's trying to scream and can't. Like she's physically incapable.
So true.
She's a reined-in, unbroken Mustang.
Yeah. She's more, and also, she's more Scandinavian. She's Swedish, I believe.
Yeah.
You're ruining my generation. Like,
it's really, that's good. Yeah.
If you listen to the lilt of it, like if you watch my hand, it's like it's going down. The way your voice goes down. You're ruining my people. Like, whereas Werner is much more monotone. He does not change. Sometimes he even goes up a little bit.
I think that's a good takeaway. But the
how to do Greta Thunberg and how to do
just how to do these impressions is the really important takeaway from this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing that you need to care about. But look, I think that what I was saying earlier about like the over financialization of our economy, there is other ways to look at tackling climate change. I think that we should spend another time looking at things like the Green New Deal.
Yes, that's a whole other thing.
Because the thing is that I think that at the end of the day, while they may have been pressured from activists, they may have been pressured from their neighbor, I think that socialists offering a competing economic system, wherein they have no power to address these issues, to say like, we are going to take over, we are going to get rid of your power, and we are going to do it ourselves with government intervention, direct government intervention, and direct government control. That is, I think,
big
scaring.
Daddy government.
I think that is scaring them more. I really do. I think that the fact that you have the bad cop of socialism, of a like state-run Green New Deal, is scaring these people more than anything that activists have been doing, anything that other investment firms have been doing. This is like, no, you don't understand. You need to do this or we will overthrow capitalism.
Yeah, Big Daddy socialism is going to piss in your mouth and you're going to like it.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Don't you get it? Yeah.
And like, there's all these different things that they can say, like, oh, well, that's going to be bad for the economy, but that's not necessarily true. There's like all these, like, we can talk about
economy if we're all dead because it's too hot.
I can't go to work today. It's too hot.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't.
So yeah, I think that's what's driving more. And we can talk about the Green New Deal another time. And
we definitely should.
There's some interesting new economic theories about how the Green New Deal can work, and that we will discuss later, called modern monetary theory. That is a very predominant way of funding the Green New Deal, and a lot of Bernie Sanders economic advisors are actually proponents of modern monetary theory.
Yeah.
We will be looking at that. Not this episode, though.
No,
Sucks.
I'm Bernie Sanders. I'm Bernie Sanders. And open up, I'm pissing in your mouth. All right? Open up, you're getting a golden shower.
We call this modern economic
monetary. Open up, Buttercup.
Zip.
And this has been Ponzi Scream. I think that's no other way to wrap up this episode than just that.
Come back next time. Can't do it.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to Ponzi Scream. Please rate, review, and subscribe.
Yeah.
I am David Bradley Eisenberg.
And I'm Gabe Pacheco.
And I'm going to piss on you.
Good night.
And I'm Danny Phelps. Bye.
Bye.